Alright, welcome to continue on with the disassembly of the T96 transmission. In order to remove the the main shaft with all the gears that are on it, this won't spin right now, by the way. I wouldn't recommend trying to spin it. I mean, if I really forced it, it would spin. But there's just so much junk and dirt that it'll probably scratch the gears. I mean, I just like to have everything clean and nice and clean and shiny. But right now I've come across this. I think it's called a C. There's the I forgot the name. But it's a little C. This thing here. I'm gonna remember the name in a couple of minutes. But it's called a C something. But it just there's a slot on the bearing, and this thing here, see, it goes around like a C. It's open there. It holds the bearing in place. Now, most of them that you've probably come across, the ones that they have, there's a little. It's longer here at the end. I mean, it's wider, a little tab, if you will. And there's a hole on both sides, and then you put a special set of pliers in, right? And the plier spreads them apart, and you can easily remove them. Now these ones, they don't have the hole, so as you can imagine, it's quite a bit of a challenge to remove them. But what I did here is, you'll see that the hole and the bolt here, there's a like a cone thing here. Anyways, there's this hole here with a threaded hole. What I did is I just put a regular washer from Home Depot. I think it's the 3/8 or I don't know. I mean, it just depends on the size that you got, and you'll see that it's now holding the what's it called? Snap ring. There you go. That's the fucking name of this thing. Snap ring, and it does snap. So now, before, while I was trying to remove it, it was just turning. If I just pushed it, try to use a chisel to push it out, it would just spin around. So now, with the washer there, I mean, if your washer is slightly bigger, you just grind it off a bit, right? Now it's no longer spinning, so we'll be able to remove this. Now, when you are trying to remove this, especially using screwdrivers and a chisel, mind your hands. Because if you put your hand, you're holding it with one hand and you're pushing it with the other, you'll stab your other hand. So that's why I'm actually wearing these thick gloves here, leather gloves. But I'll just show you guys how I'm going to remove it. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. I mean, I believe I've seen the special pliers for this, but it won't work because I don't know if you can see there, but the tips of them, they're angled. You won't be. You might be able to see it from here. See, there's an angle. It's not straight. So I mean, whatever you put in there is just going to slip out. And these things, they're not too thick. So there's not really a special tool for this. Whatever pliers you try to put in there will most likely slip, right? I mean, what you could do is just cut it off and buy a new one with the little eyes, but. I'm going to try to save it, and what I might do later is might just get the machine shop, or I might make it myself, 2 halves and big thick steel, and just drill some holes and bolt it here. So then it's just like 2 halves that come apart. I might make that, because I really don't like these snap rings. I hate them. Even the ones with the little eyes, with the little holes. I really fucking hate them. I mean, I'll just get a big square piece of steel. Well, that's this thick, right? As thick as the snap ring, and then it'll fit there. It'll just be basically a big snap ring, huge, massive snap ring, right? And then it'll just be 2 halves. So it's no longer going to be a snap ring. It'll just fit there together, and the bolts here that go on here, they'll hold it in place. And I mean, if the thing that goes here, the big cone that goes here, If it's a little bigger, I'm not sure it matters. But if it matters, you know, I might just cut a little bit off, or you know, I might not even need it because the cone has some special. It actually holds this, so even if you don't have the snap ring, that cone that goes here, I forget the name of the thing. I might look it up on the manual. Fuck. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe on the next video I'll check it out, but you know, it won't let the bearing come out anyways, so you know, it's not really necessary. I mean, right? So another option that I have is just cutting a circle, putting it on here so that the cone holds this in place instead of a snap ring. Like I said, I really hate snap rings, but let's see how this goes. Not sure how well you guys. Looks like it's a bit dark. There you go, that's better. Yeah, imagine that's good. So now, I mean, if yours is really rusted, it's highly unlikely. It's highly unlikely. You know, you might have to tap it with the chisel and, you know, put oil and whatever. But in my case here, I can just push it with one hand. And here's what I mean, you know, as I'm holding the opposite side, I mean, you're going to miss it sometimes and it's going to stab your own hand, so just be careful with that. There, it's coming out. Now, there's a little bit of a gap in the top. I'm going to put the chisel. See? Well, if you have another person to help you, that's ideal. Big gap, but it's hard to hold it with one hand. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll push it out this way so that it doesn't go back in. Damn, I really needed a third hand. And you see that the transmission is moving. If I had it on a vise, it wouldn't move, but I don't think my vise is big enough to clamp this. There we go, that's better. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put another washer here. What I did is I pulled it out of the slot. Now I don't want to pull it out too much because I don't want to warp it. I'm going to reuse this. I mean, I don't like destroying things, you know, because ideally I want to go and make that big clamp, that big, you know, whatever. I don't know what it could be called. Bearing holder, whatever. That's basically a big washer that'll fit in that slot. But I mean, that does cost money and time, so it is good to still have that little snap ring. And I mean, some people don't like that stuff. You know, some people really want it original. So I never like to destroy things. I like to adapt them, modify by adding, not by, you know, removing. You know what I mean? Here. Yeah, here's the they're flat washers. Sorry, they're 5/16 it says here. Zoom in, you motherfucker. There you go. This works. These things aren't really supposed to be reusable. You're supposed to use it one time and that's it. You'd have like a mini pry bar. Okay, yeah, here, I got it now. We're running the screwdriver alongside to reach the bottom, because once the open side is out, the other one will come out. Yeah. I'm going to get another washer and put it there. Got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. So let go of the moves, the transmission moves. This side is. There we go. See, once you get one side out, it's really easy to remove the other side. There we go. Yeah, sorry guys, I hadn't done this in a while, so I've actually sort of forgotten, but I mean, it's just common sense, right? You see, it's nice and still nice and round. I'll be able to reuse it if I have to. Right. Now the other one, there's another smaller one that holds the input shaft here, and that one I just I mean, there's nowhere to connect here. I mean, you could probably make some sort of special tool, you know, but I just removed it forcefully. That one did warp quite a bit. I'm just going to spray some diesel oil and oil. I mean, magic anti-seize, unseaser, Caesar salad. Magic WD-40. Okay. Get some diesel. Oh, by the way, you can reuse the diesel. If you leave it sitting for a couple of days, all the dirt will settle to the bottom. And then you can, you know, the diesel is like clean again. It doesn't like mix with the junk. I'm just gonna get some ass wiper here. Clean off the dust. I mean the not the dust, junk, shit. Pick that up later. Uh-oh, it's like I'm in trouble. I have to use Plan B, sacrifice the underwear. Would you rather, if you run out of ass wiper, would you rather wipe your ass with your hand and all that shit, or would you rather sacrifice your underwear? There's a question for you to ponder on. By the way, if you go to a buy the steel brush from like either the internet or a dollar store, they'll charge you like 3 to 5 times more for the same wire brush at the you know, auto parts store, wherever you get your tools from. So. Hey, how businesses nowadays, they're so unfair. Overcharging. And in this case, the washer, it's actually the same thickness as the snap ring, so it actually fit right in there in the slot. a little tight because it's actually a little bit bigger. Not a problem. Just a little bit of pressure against the bolt. It doesn't matter if it spins, because the distance, it's always going to be like pressing against the bearing, so the snap ring, there's no way it can get past it. Yeah, just remember, put the chisel, hold one side, push the chisel, push it out with the screwdriver or whatever, push it out of the slot, and then remove one side. That's the procedure. There you have it. There's the washer. I always like to put balls and shit in the jars, containers, and I usually put them back where they came from, but here it's going to get in the way. I had to remove them so I can get the chisel and the screwdriver in there. So now, in order to remove this, the manual says that this whole thing will move that way, but thing is, I removed the removed the snap ring that used to go here, the smaller one that holds the bearing to the input shaft. So there's little needle. I remember there's little needle bearings in here. If I disconnect the shaft from the bearing, they'll fall. I don't really want that. It's not a big, huge deal because you can't put them back, and if they fall inside, I don't think it's all up anyway, so I won't lose them. But they are a little bit of a bitch to put back in place. What you can do is you'll put grease, thick grease, so that just a little bit, don't have to go crazy, just enough to hold them in place. Ideally, they'll hold by themselves if you form a circle, but it's just a pain in the ass to form that circle. Once they're in that circle, they'll stay there. It's called it's some funny effect there. There's a proper name for it. I don't really recall, but it's on the manual. The manual actually mentions it. But it's just like arches, the like Roman arches. They didn't have like mortar on them. They just hold by themselves with their shape. Circle. Like here's the same thing. But the manual doesn't say that you have to remove this. It doesn't mention removing the shifter forks, right? But I'm not sure. Maybe you have to. I know they remove this input shaft here. Maybe you just have to. Feels like it's moving. Yeah, it's definitely coming out. Probably just have to clean those bearings anyway. It's just opposite sides. Might just check back on the manual to see if it'll the bearing's supposed to come out this way as well or not. I don't think it does. Getting some WD-40, diesel inside there. Sorry, I said the other way. getting some diesel, Magic WD-40 in there. Some people don't understand. Diesel is great. No need to spend money on that expensive shit. If you need WD-40 for something, it's probably because it needs to be replaced anyway, so. Yeah, it's coming out. Yeah, so I had to do this for a while, so I'm not gonna record it. Block of wood, hammer. One side, then the other side. I'm not sure this bearing goes. Normally it would go, but the shift fork, it's sort of stuck in there, so it's actually in the way. It's a little dark. Okay, I want to end the video here.